Okay, are you ready to learn how to crochet in continuous rounds? If you're ready to learn, just make sure that you have yourself a stitch marker. I highly recommend these locking stitch markers because it locks in place whenever you're working. And I've learned from a painful experience that when you're using a stitch marker like this, while you're crocheting, you could easily bump it out and completely lose your place. So definitely opt for the locking stitch marker. So to begin this circle in the round, we're first going to learn the magic circle. Now in the last tutorial, we learned how to start crocheting in the round by using the chain method. For this tutorial, we're going to start off with the magic circle. So to begin your magic circle, hold your yarn against your fingers with your thumb and wrap your working yarn around these 3 fingers, underneath your fingers, and wrap it back around on top, creating this X. Now take your crochet hook, go underneath the first strand and on top of the second strand. And we're going to pull that second strand down, and then we're going to twist our hook towards us and up. And that is how you create a magic circle. And go ahead and chain 1 to secure your knot. So this is your magic circle here. And we have a chain 1 because in this tutorial, we're going to work with single crochet stitches instead of double crochet. So this chain 1 does not count as a single crochet. So we're going to place 6 single crochet into this magic circle. So insert your hook into the circle, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Insert your hook into this circle again, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. And that's your second single crochet. And I just hold this magic circle as best I can while I'm working with it. But know that this is definitely something that your hands have to get used to, and if you don't get it on the first try, just keep trying. And if it frustrates you to no end, just continue with the chain method. That is completely fine. And then maybe you can come back and try again later. So I have 6 single crochet in the circle. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So now that we have all that we need, we're going to take the tail end, hold on to our chain 1, and pull that strand so that our circle ends up nice and tight. In the previous tutorial, we learned how to crochet in joined rounds, but for this tutorial, we're not joining, which means no slip stitching. We're just going to continue on to row 2 from right here. But before we go on to round 2, grab your stitch marker, and I personally like to mark my last stitch of each round. If you want to mark your first stitch, you can do that too. But I have our last stitch marked. It's just right on top of the stitch. And now I'm going to increase into that very first stitch. So that means 2 single crochet into that same stitch. And now we're going to increase into the next stitch and each stitch around. So because we started off with 6 single crochet in the magic circle, we should end up with 12 at the end of this round. All right, and now we've reached our last stitch, so we're going to take out our stitch marker, and then we're going to place our increase into our last stitch. And because this is now our last stitch, we're going to mark that last stitch again. And so that's the end of round 2. Now for round 3, we're going to increase in the first stitch, and then 1 single crochet into the next. Increase into the next, and 1 single crochet into the next. So we're just going to repeat that pattern around. Increase 1, increase 1, increase 1. And again, because we're adding 6 stitches at the end of each round, we should have 18 single crochet at the end of this round. All right, and again, we've reached our last stitch, so we're going to take out our stitch marker and place 1 single crochet into this last stitch. Now grab your stitch marker and mark that last stitch again. And so that is the end of round 3. And if you see that your circle in the middle is starting to get loose, because we started off with the magic circle, all you have to do is pull that tail end and your circle will close. Now for round 4, we're going to increase in the first stitch, and then place 1 single crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. Increase, single crochet into each of the next 2 stitches, increase, single crochet into each of the next 2 stitches, and so on. And here's our last stitch, so we'll take out our stitch marker and place a single crochet into that last stitch, and now replace the stitch marker. And that is the end of round 4. Let's go ahead and count our stitches. So at the end of round 4, we should have a total of 24 stitches. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. So we have 24 stitches in this round, so we are good to go. So just like with joined rounds, we're going to increase the same way. The only difference is that we're using a stitch marker to mark the last stitch of every round. And if your circle doesn't seem to be flat, then go back and make sure that you have the correct amount of increases. All right, so I know this tutorial was a lot quicker than the previous one, but I already went over everything you need to know about crocheting in the round in the first tutorial. So if you're feeling lost, make sure you check out that tutorial because it has so much more information. And again, if you have any questions at all, just leave them in the comments below. All right, and that's it for lesson 10.